quite frankly. I'm glad people are catching up. See, I'm not one of those people, Bill, who gets mad when people start to enjoy a band that I've been loving for a long time. I don't claim them as my own. I want more and more people to enjoy the things that I like. What's the matter with that? Some people get all snippy.
Yeah, because they feel like oh, where were you when?
Where were
I didn't hear them, so how was I supposed to know?
I had no idea who they were.
I can't listen to something I didn't know about.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people will break my balls because I'm a big Steely Dan fan. But I didn't even get into them until like the early aughts. And they've been around since the 70s. I mean, they just weren't even on my radar. I remember hearing a couple of their songs on the radio when I was a little kid, but I didn't really do a deep dive on them until the very late 90s or early aughts. My ex-wife had a Steely Dan compilation CD. And I listened to that. I was like, this is goddamn fantastic. And then I went all in on Steely Dan. So, I mean, for people of a certain age, you know, boomers who were into them, I'm the guy that came late to their favorite band. So I always think better late than never. Your Cleveland Guardians are in the middle of that second of two. They're in Detroit, 2-0. Guardians in the middle of the fifth there at Comerica Park. It's been a real barn burner so far. They were a few innings in with no score at all. So we'll see what happens there. But the Guardians come back home Thursday. They got a 4-game weekend series against the Baltimore Orioles, who are another good team, yeah? Orioles are doing real well. Number 1 in the East. And so that'll be a real clash of the Titans, as it were, starting Thursday here on MMS. That'll be a 6:05 pregame. And then 6:40 will be your first pitch. And that'll be August the 1st, which means we'll have a brand new promo code for you with CLE Clothing Company. And that word is for August? Lake. L-A-K-E. Today and tomorrow, last 2 days, if you're going to buy something over there, don't sweat. You can still use the promo code STAR, and you'll get 20% off whatever you want. I saw that Don Buchwald died. Do you know who Don Buchwald is?
I don't.
He's most famously Howard Stern's agent. He's been his agent for 40 years, and he started the Buchwald Talent Agency a long, long time ago. And Howard Stern was his most famous client, but he had a number of other people. And this really kind of got me in the feels because my longtime agent died about 7 years ago. And when you're in this business and you have someone who advocates for you professionally, it's such a huge, huge deal. Bob Eatman was my agent for a long time. He represented Rover. He represented a lot of great people and me. And he died 2017. I think it'll be 7 years this fall. And Howard Stern had Don Buchwald for 40 years. Don Buchwald's 88 years old. And he built up this amazing talent agency that represented all different kinds of people. After my agent died, his brother took on all of his clients. I had his brother, who's a fine human being as well. It was just a different thing. I had him for about a year, and it was just a different situation. So when I saw this, it really, really bummed me out because it's, Stern's not a young man anymore. He's 70. But to have a person in that role for you for that long, I mean, I had Bob Eatman for about 15 years, and I was crestfallen that I had, just because of scheduling and everything, I wasn't able to go to L.A. for his funeral, and I was very, very upset with that whole thing. And so when I saw that Don Buchwald died, I was really, really bummed out for Stern and for all the people who have had a representation from him. Because there's kind of there's a familial relationship that you have with people in that capacity. You have an agent or you have a representative. I have to assume this is how Mary feels about her manager. Is when she goes to sleep at night, is he
gonna die?
She hopes he's okay.
Yeah.
She hopes
this man in his 30s gonna die.
Hey, listen, have you seen what's happened? People are dying, man. You got high school athletes having heart attacks on the floor. So you just need to make sure. I'm sure he has a stable of clients, but you need to make sure that you're doing whatever you can to maintain as much of a symbiotic relationship as you possibly can. And when it came time for me to decide if I was going to sign on with a new agency, I opted not to because I was in a different place, and it felt very, very strange. So when I saw that Don Buchwald had died, that it really bummed me out. For Stern, and again, for all the people who he represented, his daughters, who were already working for the agency, will continue that. And again, in 40 years, obviously, a lot of other talent agencies that represent SAG-AFTRA clients like us have popped up in their wake. But 47 years is no small thing. And so his daughters are going to keep the whole thing going. Basically, as far as agents went for broadcasting, Don Buchwald was the East Coast guy, and Bob Eatman, my guy, was the West Coast guy. And they both had offices on either coast, but that was, every time I would go to L.A. for something and I would have lunch with Bob, it was like, he's like, oh, so-and-so wants to talk to you. We're going to do this, talk to this. And it was just nice to have someone that you could sit down and advocate for you and know where you were coming from. And, because people aren't always going to understand where you're coming from. And it was nice to have people that were professionally engaged in what you were doing. And so to have somebody in your corner for 40 years is a big, big deal. And so it didn't say how he died. He was 88. It could have just been, I don't know. Didn't say anything about him being sick or anything like that. Now, if you're a little bit younger, you might be bummed out by the passing of Francine Pascal, whose name might not immediately spring to mind in recognition. She was 92 years old. So again, I have to assume she had enemies, but probably natural causes. But she was the creator of a franchise called Sweet Valley High.
Oh, yeah, I remember those books.
That a lot of... I thought the girl on the show would pop up quicker, but okay.
No, I'm saying I don't know what that is.
The Sweet Valley High books.
I remember my cousins and like every girl had them. I never read any, but I just remember seeing them around.
This is from the 80s.
You sure?
Alan.
You sure?
1983.
No,
is
but
when
they
most of these
continued to
came
present
out.
day, is what I'm saying.
84, 83, 84, 85, 87. They stopped making these in 1993 when I was 4 years old. So don't give me that crap.
What, you can't read books that were printed before you were born? I've read A Call to Arms. That kind of predates me a little bit.
At what point
A
would I
Call
need
to Arms and Sweet Valley High equal on the all-time
I'm not
book
saying
list.
they are. I'm saying, what, just because something wasn't out when you were a kid, you never could read it?
Dude, I started reading for pleasure at 2 years ago. I'm not even joking.
At the ripe old age of what? 31?
32,
yeah.
During the pandemic was when I read my first book that wasn't like a homework assignment for school.
Hey, better late than never, man. And
So
now you
give
love
me
it.
this crap about, that's because we're bored. Can't read a book about Mrs. Quarterback.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the a-hole because I think people read. You're right. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
100%
I forgot where I
yes.
was for a half a second. You're right. I'm sorry.
To think that I read a series that came out that stopped when I was 4.
Well, no. I didn't say read, but I have to assume that maybe you were familiar with it.
No.
You weren't.
Not at all.
Okay. Well, anyway, the woman who created the series, it was a woman named Francine Pascal, and she created the Sweet Valley High books. And this was very much like of the time. This was like the quintessential kind of 80s teen fictional experience. They sold about 200 million copies of these books. And this was before there was really like what they call YA now, young adult literature. This was kind of before that. So you could make the case that she really kind of got that whole thing going. But it was, granted, it was very much like a Gen X teen thing. But it was a big, big deal. Now, when I saw Sweet Valley High, because I'm a Gen Xer, my mind went to, instead of Sweet Valley High, my brain said Sweet Pickles. Now, you guys really wouldn't know this.
Now that's divisive.
Because
when you said Sweet Valley High, I thought Sweet Berry Wine, which is the Dr. Steve Brule bit.
Sweet Berry Wine, John C. Reilly.
When he gets hammered on wine.
Uh-huh.
Sweet Berry Wine.
Sweet Berry Wine.
No,
Anyway,
Sweet Pickles
are
was a
disgusting.
thing when I was a kid. It was like the Sweet Pickles Bus. There was an animated thing. There was a toy. that had like information cards about animals. These were a series of books when I was a little kid called The Sweet Pickles. They had, this probably isn't ringing any bells with you guys.
No.
This predates both of you, I would imagine.
Here comes the Sweet Pickles Bus.
Smart moms know how kids' minds grow upon Sweet Pickles.
So you got a plastic bus-looking thing that opened up like a lunchbox, and then it had fun stuff
Head
inside.
Start for School starts with this free Sweet Pickles preschool bus. There are stickers, games, puzzles, and hours of fun inside. They'll make learning basic skills like numbers and letters seem like...
Now, when they say hours of fun, I take a little bit of umbrage with that because not hours of fun. But the Sweet Pickles bus was a big deal when I was a kid. Started in the mid-'70s, probably went into the late '80s. I don't even know if it's, a lot of those things, if a company owns the IP, they'll just reboot them. So for a new generation. I don't know if Sweet Pickles is still around.
I don't
Now,
think so.
Another fun fact there, if you're eagle-eared at the voiceover guy there in the Sweet Pickles commercial.
They'll make learning basic skills like numbers and letters seem like child's play to your 2 to 6 year olds.
That is the late Peter Thomas.
Oh,
by the
Peter
way.
Thomas. Oh, Casey Kasem's friend,
No.
Peter Thomas.
Peter Thomas, of course, a long time, very prominent voiceover guy who would go on to even greater success as the voiceover narrator for the show Forensic Files. His voice was a little higher in that one, a little pitched up, so he went from the Sweet Pickles bus to this.
23-year-old Danae Kalam never returned home from visiting her mother's grave.
Whoa.
Her body was discovered 26 miles away from the cemetery. She was sexually assaulted and beaten to death.
Jeez.
So somebody heard the Sweet Pickles bus, and they go, we got to get that guy, Peter Thomas, who died some years ago. But what a great voice that guy. He also narrated a show way back in the day on PBS called Nova, which you could always find on, in Chicago we had Channel 11 was the PBS station. Nova would always be on. It was kind of getting you hip to some of the secrets of the universe, and Peter Thomas was one of the narrators. But Forensic Files, for a lot of people, present company included, is kind of comfort food. It's on all the time on the HLN network. And so I constantly hear Peter Thomas. And he has very similar vocal qualities, like our own Bob Coates, who is our main production voice guy here at iHeart Cleveland. And he's just got this very natural, organic delivery and vibe to his voice. And it reminds me very much of Peter Thomas. So, listen, for anybody, Mary included, she does voiceover auditions. For any of us working in the voiceover game, which can be bloodthirsty, it's got to be good news indeed to show the versatility of somebody who can go from the Sweet Pickles bus to her body was found raped and murdered.
I'm actually waiting to hear back on a voiceover gig.
Does it involve rape and murder?
Not that I know of.
All
Not
right.
based off of the sides that they sent me to read for.
Could it?
But it might. Maybe murder. Maybe murder. I
All
don't
right.
know about rape. It's a cartoon.
Oh, so probably not rape and
Probably
murder.
not rape.
All
but
right.
It's like an edgy adult cartoon, so maybe some murder. But yeah, I read for a main part, the main role, like a month ago, and I never heard anything back. And then they emailed me back. We're like, hey, you didn't get the main part, but do you want to read for this smaller part? We really liked your voice. Let's see what you can do with this.
This is an animated thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
There's good money in that.
I know. I just sent it in yesterday, so hoping that maybe I'll be a little.
Are you doing like the voice that you
side
do
character.
for like your normal voice or like
It's a normal voice.
the,
it's
the
like
Bill
a,
and Alan voice when you're mad at
It's
us?
not the villain.
You know, that's the one she
Oh,
did in that video, too.
Yeah, right, yeah.
When she was
That is
talking
the
about
voice I
guys
did in
being
the
sick,
video.
I'm watching it. I go, that's the voice she uses when she's making fun of Bill
yeah.
or me.
It's my making fun of anyone voice. Oh, my name is Bill and I'm stupid. Like that. Or my name is Aaron and I think that salads are made to be drank.
Right. That is your mocking voice.
That's my mocking voice, yeah.
Wow. Mock. Yeah. Ing. Yeah.
No,
You.
I haven't gotten a chance to pull that one out of the arsenal.
So that's not the one. That arrow is still in your quiver is what you're
Yeah.
saying. You're not pulling that one out for
That's
under
for like a silly role.
a
This
grand
is
a
like,
day.
No, this is like a regular woman.
This is
in
a
her 30s.
serious cartoon voice.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like a drama, like a cartoon
Like a
drama.
graphic novel
Yeah.
brought to life.
Yeah.
All right. It's a female character. They're not pulling the old switcheroo on you?
No.
Because that happens a lot. You know, half of the voice cast of Bob's Burgers is guys doing women's voices.
Yeah. Female 30s, open ethnicity. That's what it said.
Wow. Open ethnicity. When you think Mary Santora, you think open ethnicity.
Yeah, it is.
What is she? I can't
Who
tell.
knows? I can't tell based on that voice.
Wow.
Alan, Rich down in Jacksonville, Florida, listening back to the podcast, and you're discussing your squeezy salads, and you made the point that they last for a year. In what world do vegetables even last for a year, though? Even if you were to prep the pouch yourself, grow the vegetables, seal it in the pouch, it still wouldn't last a year. So why do these commercial pouches last a year? There's got to be some extra stuff in there. Anyways, hit the show. Bye.
Yeah, I was just rattling off what it said in the side, you know, best if buy. I'm sure it's got a couple of things in it to keep it, you know, before you open it up. But what, you don't think they're putting stuff on your produce, by the way? You know, they're spraying all your produce with stuff. So I didn't really check. I didn't have one today. My lunch today was not a squeezy salad.
What was your lunch today?
I'll tell you what I did. Every so often I try, and I'm bereft every time. I just crossed the street. I was in a bit of a hurry. I crossed the street.
Mr. Hero.
There's no
we
Mr.
hated
Hero
Mr.
across
Hero,
the street.
But
I know.
there's one down by the casino.
There's a Potbelly.
Ugh.
And I went into Potbelly. And I keep trying. I have a lot of love for them. They're a hometown chain. There was one in the building I worked in Chicago. I would go, we'd be writing all morning after the show. I'd be famished. We'd just go down the escalator to Potbelly, and they never did me wrong. So I don't know what's happening now.
We've been over this.
I know
Potbelly
we
is
have.
The worst sandwich chain
I'm not going
I
that
will
far because
stand by that.
I haven't had them all.
that I've had.
It doesn't taste bad.
It doesn't taste good.
I
I
like
don't know how they managed to make sandwiches so bland.
Well, you got to tell them what you want on it.
They
you
don't
want
even
peppers?
offer the
You
good
want
stuff.
you like Italian oil or whatever it is, and you know.
Yeah, they're like, I'll have bidets.
Well, no. There's Italian seasoning, there's peppers, there's mustard, there's everything you could want. It's up to you what to put on it.
Except dressings or vinegar or anything tangy.
Tangy.
There's no tang.
No tang.
No tang.
Okay, why don't you bring your own tang? Why don't you have some vinegar?
Baby, I'm full of tang today.
She's a tangy bitch.
She's full of piss and vinegar. All right, well.
What, they messed up your sandwich? I'm sure they
No,
did.
again, they didn't mess it up. It's just when you get it, you unwrap it, you have to reassemble it.
Because it's trash.
I'm like, guys, I don't even go there at the rush. Like, you've got time. I don't even have you toast it. I get mine cold. I'm removing the main thing from it. Anyway, it's whatever. It's not their fault. They're doing what they do, right? But it just underscores the fact that I know what I should have done, and I didn't do it. I started to let all the doubters and the naysayers get in my head. I should have had a squeezy salad for lunch, and I didn't. So guess what I'm going to do when I get home?
Squeezy salad.
For dinner. You got it, baby. Squeezy salad for dinner. I'm never looking back. Never looking back.
Dude,
How do you like that?
you do whatever you want, man.
I'll tell you what's tangy. I'm going to
tired
send
of
you
it.
one of these. What's tangy? Squeezy salad. You put that on your sandwich?
It's got some tang in it.
Dude, I'm telling you. You put that on your sandwich.
What's the tang element?
The lemon.
Lemon. Okay, I'll take that. Lemon is tangy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what preserves it. It's all the lemon.
Yes. All right.
Hey.
I'm going to take a break. 30 Seconds to Mars tickets for you a little bit later on. Also put you on our cruise for next month, Captain Fun's Floating Fandango. You have to win your way on now because all the tickets we sold are sold out. I'll also put you on that Primus show later on. We got Hot Celebrity Goss from Perez Bilton later on as well. And another key for the Buzzard bike. That will be late in the show today. Those move around. So one of your last opportunities to get a